So students, we are back again with the class 11th Political Science, and in the previous lectures we have started with the first chapter, that is Constitution, of the book Indian Constitution at Work. As in the previous lectures we have started about what is the Constitution, how is it formed, what is its necessity, along with the rights and the directives, principles of state policy. So this all we have already done. Now a very important question which arises is that are the constitutions static? Means that if the constitutions are made once, do they remain so forever? So firstly, if we take an example of Soviet Union, then we see that the Soviet Union has had 4 constitutions which were made again and again, once in 1918, then 1924, then 1936, and finally in 1977. And after the disintegration of Soviet Union, a new constitution was adopted in 1993 by the newly formed Russian Federation. So this was the case of Soviet Union, which had 4 constitutions. As far as the case of India is concerned, Indian Constitution, as you all know, was adopted on 26 November 1949, and its implementation started from 26 January 1950. And as you all know, that we still have the same constitution functioning as the basic framework on which the working of a government is based, and which provides the set of laws according to which our country is governed. So what are the reasons? 2 main reasons about it is, once we have already in previous lectures discussed that the constitution was made after a lot of planning, lots of debates was done, lots of discussions were done, different clauses were borrowed from different countries, and the citizens' rights and requirements were taken into consideration. Firstly, and second, that our constitution makers were quite far-sighted. We already have discussed about 3 members of it, that is Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and Rajendra Prasad, who all worked on different provisions, and then there was a lot of discussions. So these all far-sighted constitution makers are a reason for the stability of our constitution, and they provided for many solutions for the future situations also. Moreover, our constitution accepts the necessity of modifications according to the changing trends or needs of the society. As you all know, that the constitution should neither be very rigid, that is, it is not prone to any kind of change, and nor it should be flexible, that nobody takes it seriously and anyone can come and make any change in it. So both the cases are not acceptable. Both political practice and judicial rulings have shown maturity and flexibility in implementing the constitution, which has made our constitution a living document. A living document means our constitution can be amended as per the needs of the society. So the constitution, it was correct that it was placed above the ordinary law, but at the same time the need for modifications in future was also not denied. So constitution is a combination of both approaches. One, where we consider that constitution is a sacred document and it cannot be made, no changes can be made into it according to the any particular person or a group of citizens. But on the other hand, it is also flexible. That is, that if a particular amendment is required, then that amendment can be made. The constitution does not deny the amendments. So when we are saying that the amendments cannot be denied, one thing should be kept in mind, that many frequent changes and unnecessary changes should be strictly avoided, and the constitution should be protected from such kind of changes. Now if you see how the constitution can be amended, there are 3 major categories. First is similar to the ordinary law, that is by a simple majority in parliament, as it is done in case of some articles. The second one is those cases which are of more serious matter. There should be a special majority in parliament in both the houses separately, and this is according to the article 368. Third and the most difficult pattern is the case of special legislatures, the majority in the special legislatures along with the legislatures of half the states. It is also according to the article 368. Now when the word special majority is used, as far as you know, you must have read about in elections and so, that if there is a suppose there are 248 seats, then if a person gets 125, then it is a majority, means more than half. But for amending the constitution, firstly, those voting in favor of the amendment bill should constitute at least half of the total strength of that house. For example, if there are 500 members, then half is 250. But if suppose 300 members are present, then in that case also it should be more than 250. Means it should be at least half of the total strength, not the number of the people who are present. Secondly, the supporters of the amendment bill must also constitute 2/3 of those who actually take part in the voting, and both the houses must pass the amendment bill separately. Secondly, there is also a clause of the ratification of states. You must have seen upstairs where we require the majority of the legislatures of half the states. So the ratification by the states is done in those cases when an amendment aims to modify an article that is related to the distribution of powers between the state and the central government. It is necessary in these cases that the states must be consulted and their consent must be taken. In numerical terms, if you see that on 26 January 2018, our constitution completed 68 years, and in these 68 years it has been amended 101 times, which seems quite a huge figure, but yes, it was done 101 times, and among this the maximum amendments were in the period of 1970 to 1990. Now the question arises that what marks the increase in the number of amendments? Two dates I am giving you. Just for example, in 1974 to 76, in these 3 years, 10 amendments were made. While in the period from 2001 and 2003, again 10 amendments were made. But if you compare both these periods, the first one, that is 74 to 76, was a period of Congress domination. On the other hand, the period from 2001 to 2003 was of a coalition politics. So this means that the amendment in the constitution do not depend on the existence of a majority government. They may be according to whatever demands of that particular time is. So they do not depend upon the existence of a majority. Otherwise, the cases of 74 to 76 and 2001 to 2003 must have been totally different. Now, when you talk about the amendments are of 3 main categories. The first category is of technical or administrative nature amendments, which are basically only clarifications, explanations, and minor modifications of the original provisions. So in reality sense, if you see, then these amendments are only amendments in legal sense. For example, the amendment that increased the age of retirement of High Court judges from 60 to 62 years, that is the 15th amendment, or the 55th amendment, where the salaries of the judges of the High Court and the Supreme Court were increased by an amendment. So these examples are, just for example, the original, if you take the provision regarding the reserved seats in the legislatures for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, the original provision said that they are for a period of 10 years. However, in order to ensure fair representation, it was necessary to extend this period by 10 years.
but these amendments have not made any difference to the original provision. In this sense, it is only a technical amendment. Now, the second case is of the amendments which are a product of different interpretations of the constitution given by the judiciary and the government of the day. That is when there is a difference between the interpretations of both the judiciary and the government. When they clash, the parliament had to insert an amendment underlying one particular interpretation as the authentic one. So many a times the parliament did not agree with the judicial interpretation and therefore sought to amend the constitution. In the period between 1970 and 75, this situation arose frequently. So finally we come to the third category of amendments that are a result of political consensus. Means the amendments where all the political parties, they agree on a particular issue or on a particular amendment. So this was all about the talking regarding the constitution as a living document. We will continue the same in the next lecture along with the discussion on the basic philosophy of our Indian constitution. Till then, keep studying and stay safe.